Alright, welcome to my recap review show of Tna Impact Wrestling last night for January 20th, 2012. I actually thought this was a pretty good Impact. They did some good stuff. Unfortunately, there was a few bad things too, but for the most part, I don't expect a lot out of TNA, and they delivered a pretty good show, so I was happy with that. There was actually a couple things I didn't mind watching again, so that's always good. They open the show. James Storm comes out, basically says he's been getting screwed over. But he beat Angle at the pay-per-view, so he is the number one contender for Bobby Roode's title. Jeff Hardy comes out and says he's been getting screwed too, and he deserves a shot at Bobby Roode before anybody else. So Roode comes out. This is where things get a little bit complicated. He says that Storm versus Angle was for the number one contender. And since Storm won, he is the number one contender. However, he's the number one contender for whoever won Bobby Roode versus Jeff Hardy at the pay-per-view. And since Bobby Roode used Bully Ray, I guess he's paying him off or something to help him win, then he was disqualified, and so no one won. So Storm is basically a number one contender for nothing. And Hardy has had enough shots already, so he's done too. That's basically what Roode says. Sting comes out and says, well, I'll fix all this right now, and makes a match with Storm versus Hardy tonight for the number one contender. So that's the main event, and Sting walks off. Everybody seems happy about it. Bobby Roode's okay, so I don't know. I think Bobby Roode's pretty good as a heel champion. I mean, it's just, why has it got to be so confusing? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense why they have to confuse everybody with all this. I mean, I don't know what they're leading up to, or I don't really care all that much either. It's just, I've been confused for so long and just swerved, and they do one thing and then they don't follow through with it the next week, that it's hard for me to care about any of this. But nevertheless, backstage, Angelina Love is challenging Eric Young to a match. She says he put his hands on her, and she wants to face him in the ring. I don't know. Then Gunner with Ric Flair come out to fight AJ Styles. It was a pretty average match. Gunner kept AJ on the ground for most of it. Christopher Daniels and Kazarian come out during the match. They Kazarian clotheslines AJ while the referee's distracted by Ric Flair. And he's kind of like on the fence about doing it, like he's being forced to do it by Christopher Daniels. He doesn't really want to hurt AJ, but he's forced to. Like, Christopher Daniels has some kind of leverage over him. I don't know what that could be. It's a mystery as of right now. So the entire Gunner versus AJ match was basically just filler to put over this angle. The match itself was average. I mean, it was good. It was okay. But it just felt like it was all to set up this angle. And that would be fine, if not for the fact that right now Kazarian is on the fence about hurting AJ. But next week on Impact, he could be fine with it. They never follow through. I mean, it's really hard to know where they're going with this because people change. I remember when it was Devon and the Pope, and they were wrestling each other and having this little feud. Then a couple months pass and they're tag team partners and everything's fine. Then next week they're enemies again and back right where the feud started. I mean, how long did that feud last? Like all summer? It just ended at this last pay-per-view. It was like a 6-7 month long feud just because they forgot they were doing it, and then when they remembered, they brought it back on TV. Stuff like that. So this wasn't that bad. This wasn't that bad. I'm just giving you an example of why I don't really have a lot of faith in any of these angles, but that's besides the point. Magnus did a promo basically saying he was going to fight Crimson later in a singles match, and him and Samoa Joe would eventually win the tag belts from Crimson and Matt Morgan. Crimson shows up, says, you have no chance. I'm going to beat you next. I'm still undefeated. So Magnus and Crimson have a match, and it's actually not that bad. I don't like Crimson. I think Magnus is awesome. Crimson just doesn't have anything I like about him, so I wasn't really into that. Magnus really worked him over, was destroying him, threw him into the corner, charges him, gets hit with Crimson's Red Sky, loses. But Samoa Joe comes out and basically destroys Crimson. So him and Magnus are double teaming Crimson. Matt Morgan comes out for the save, and they beat him up too. This really made Samoa Joe and Magnus look strong, I think. It's a weird tag team. They kind of just threw these two guys together, but I like it. It's fun, and they made these guys look like monsters. And they took out Matt Morgan. Joe kicks him in the head, gives him a snapmare takeover, and then Magnus hits him with an elbow drop off the top. It was pretty cool to see. Backstage, Eric Young is in front of a Bellator truck, cutting a promo with the catering lady. He says he can't fight a girl. ODB comes up, encourages him to have a fight to wrestle Angelina Love. He says he can't do it. It was pretty funny. I liked it. He calls the catering lady Cyborg, which I thought was weird. I know they taped TNA in advance, but she just got busted for steroids, so she's technically not going to be fighting anytime soon, so I thought that was pretty funny. He called her Cyborg. But ODB and Eric Young, I really like. I know a lot of people don't like Eric Young, and I agree that he could be a great worker if he was serious and they let him be serious, but they're not, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to change. And at this point in his career, the Impact Zone fans like him. He's over with them as a comedy character. And even if he wanted to be serious, do you really think Eric Young could be serious again? I mean, after all the damage that's been done to him with this comedy gimmick, I just don't think he could go back to being serious. But you never know. It feels like he's been doing the comedy, shtick for a while now, so I don't really see it changing, and I think it's funny, so. Garrett Bischoff recap. That's boring. I really don't even care about that guy. The only reason he's even on TV is because his dad's Eric Bischoff. I mean, I don't need to say anything more about that. It's boring. It's horrible. Gail Kim's backstage trying to psych up Madison for a cage match with Mickie James tonight. Madison's afraid. Gail Kim says it'll be alright. They go into the match. Madison's with Gail Kim. The referee tells Gail Kim she has to leave. She leaves, no problem. She didn't even care. They have a match, and this was actually a really good match. The knockouts are far superior to the WWE Divas. Maybe not far superior, but I feel the knockouts put on better matches than the WWE Divas. But that's really not giving them any praise at all, because the Divas are horrible. They're horrible at pretty much everything except a select few. I don't even think there's 5 good wrestlers on the female roster for WWE, and that's pretty sad. But it's also female wrestling on WWE, so no one really watches it to see good wrestling. So I guess it doesn't really matter either way. But anyways, they put on a good match. They did some, raking the face into the cage. That was cool. Mickie James throws Madison Rayne into the cage a couple times, then hits her with a spike DDT for the win. They both had a lot of offense. At the beginning of the match, Mickie James is dominating everything. Second half, Madison Rayne is dominating everything. She really works over Mickie good. It was a really good match. Did not mind watching that at all. Then you have a double. Austin Aries backstage cutting awesome promos. He cuts promos all night. It was awesome. He's backstage cutting an awesome promo. Then after commercial break, he's cutting another one with a recap of his victories. Just saying he's the best. He's the greatest man who's ever lived. And he is pretty amazing as far as TNA goes. He's one of the better guys they have. I hope they don't blow it with this guy. He's everything they could need right now. And it would be so much better if they just let him do his thing. And so far they have been. I really hope they don't screw it up. He comes out for another promo in the ring. He says, "I'm the greatest man who's ever lived. I don't need people to cheer me or say my name. I know how great I am. I've beat every member of the X Division. there's no one in Impact Zone who can beat me, who I am worried about or afraid of, who stands a chance. Alex Shelley's music hits and he comes out. I guess he's back from being injured. I know he was hurt for a little bit. And he comes out, says he misses the fans, and he hurt his shoulder. And then when he was able to come back, Saban tore his ACL and MCL. And the fans are deprived of the Motor City Machine Guns till 2012. But he asked Saban if he could come back. Saban said it was okay, so here he is, and he wants to wrestle Austin Aries. A double. He basically just calls him out, says he's been making him sick as the champion. He's a horrible champion. And A double just goes off on him. He actually makes Alex Shelley look kind of stupid here. Just he's such a great heel, good talker. Made me excited to see these guys wrestle. And I don't know the last time I felt that, especially with TNA. I really want to see them wrestle. Apparently, Austin Aries says you don't just get a shot at the title. You have to earn it like all the other guys backstage I beat. So go find one, beat him for a contender spot, and I'll wrestle you at the pay-per-view. Alex Shelley says, alright, but I'll do you one better. You pick the guy, I'll beat him, then if I win, we wrestle it against all odds. So, I guess that's going to happen next week on Impact. But that was pretty cool. I like that. Backstage, ODB is talking, saying how much she wants Eric Young to destroy Angelina Love. She gets attacked from behind by Winter. Winter takes off her belt and starts beating her like old Hulk Hogan style. Then the Angelina Love Eric Young match starts. Eric Young obviously doesn't want to wrestle Angelina Love. He's running around the ring, trying to do lockups with the referee, trying to avoid the match. The referee says, not me, her, wrestle her. So he acts like he's about to, but then runs outside and starts trying to lock up on fans. And this goes on for a little while. Finally, he turns his back. Angelina Love low blows him. They ring the bell. Her and Winter double team Eric Young. They start beating him up. ODB comes out. Tries to save him. She gets hurt. The girls start double teaming her. Eric Young throws the girls over the ropes. Him and ODB kiss. I am not excited to see what happens next week. I guess it would be funny next week to see what they do with this. ODB and Eric Young are amazing together. It's just stuff that happens on a fluke. They threw these two together. They threw Samoa Joe and Magnus together. Just a fluke thing, and it comes across a lot better than if they tried too hard, like they tried with Crimson and Mad Morgan, where they try to shove guys down your throat that you don't want to see, or Garrett Bischoff. When they're not trying so hard, stuff actually clicks, and it's not that bad. Storm's backstage getting ready for his match with Hardy. Says he has been watching all the tapes. He's prepared for this match. He's ready to go. The match starts. The beginning's a lot of mat work, takedowns, and the like. They're just kind of messing around with arm drags and snapmares, stuff like that. Then Storm gets some offense, hits a slingshot, suplex onto the ropes, then slingshots him back in and knocks him out. Hardy does a whisper in the wind. Pretty back and forth. It was a good match. I like this. James Storm goes up for a superplex off the top rope on the Hardy, which knocks both guys out. But somehow Storm is able to muster up the strength to go for a cover, but at this point Bully Ray's in the ring, and he takes out the ref from behind. He pulls out a chain, he starts beating on both guys, just whipping them with this chain, and all of a sudden, more referees start pouring out. I don't know why. Earl Hebner gets punched in the face. The other one gets punched in the face. And he's just continuing to beat these guys. So instead of referees, Sting comes out with a baseball bat, cleans house, takes Bully Ray out. And it was just, it was alright, I guess. I believe what they're going for is Bobby Roode has Bully Ray doing his dirty work. He is getting all these matches that could threaten Bobby Roode's title disqualified, or no contest, as it were, because Bobby Roode doesn't want to wrestle Storm or Hardy. It showed a clip backstage of Bully Ray saying, I do this, I get a title shot, and Bobby Roode kind of nervously says, oh yeah, of course. So I imagine they're going to continue doing this. Bobby Roode eventually has to give Bully what he owes him, and he's not going to want to do that, and then they're going to fight. I don't know how that would work unless they plan to turn Bully Ray babyface. So I'm not really sure where they're going with that, but basically Bully Ray is on Roode's payoff and is attacking these guys because he is promised a title shot for doing it. Bobby Roode comes out, or Sting beats up Bully Ray with the bat and chases him out. So then Bobby Roode comes out. Storm and Hardy have been beat with the chain. They're laid out. They muster up the ability to stand, and Roode just lays them both out with the title, holds the title up, says this match is a no contest, and he walks off, still world champion. That's what he says. And then he walks off, he's still the champ, and they close Impact with that. So it wasn't a bad Impact. I like the comedy, it doesn't bother me. Some people really hate it, like the Eric Young segments. I think it's okay. I don't really care that much about their storylines right now because nothing really has my interest except Austin Aries, Alex Shelley. So the comedy doesn't really bother me. If anything, it makes a bad Impact watchable. And the matches here were pretty good. Now that I think about it, the only one with a clean win was the cage match. Possibly. But yeah, I think that was the only one with a clean win, was the Mickie James versus Madison Rayne cage match. But even despite that fact, Magnus and Joe, that was cool. I like seeing those guys. Gunner versus AJ was just filler to put over an angle coming up with Daniels, Kazarian, and AJ all involved. And the main event is setting up who knows what. Who knows what they're going to do next week. Probably go to Against All Odds with a triple threat match. Storm, Hardy, Bobby Roode. I could see that happening easily. And that's probably what's going to happen. But anyways, I hope you guys like this review. Enjoy it. I'm going to be doing shows. Raw, SmackDown, Impact, Ring of Honor, which is my favorite company at the moment. Pay-per-views, all that stuff. So if you like it, subscribe and just enjoy the videos. Thank you.